an AI solution or workflow or something presents itself, it's like, aha, not only can this speed this up, but over time, get me one more conversation. That's really what I want.
This is Under Oath, where revenue takes the stand.
Break it down to an ROI perspective. Your AEs could take one extra call a day. That's 10 extra calls a week, 40 calls a month. If you have a 20% close rate, 8 deals, average $10,000 in MRR, 80 grand, close to $1 million in new revenue a year. Those are the type of things I think, keyword, supercharge your teams.
On trial today. AI, when to use it, when to skip it, and how to deploy it like a pro. When used right, fewer manual tasks literally mean millions more in revenue.
It's making us more efficient at small things. It gives a full breakdown, summaries, next steps, what's happened, and that allows our AEs to not do that manual task. That efficiency allows them to run that much quicker.
Welcome back to Under Oath, where revenue takes the stand. With me, our fearless leader, Zach Ramey, CRO at Rankings.io. Welcome, Zach. How we doing?
Doing good. How are you guys?
Zach had a nice week in Jamaica.
Been a while.
You're a couple shades tanner than the last episode.
I am a wee bit tanner.
We told him he couldn't bring the steel drum for the episode, but next episode he might have something ready for us.
That's right. I got a little skit for you guys.
And of course, our ringer, Cole Castleberry, the VP of Sales at Rankings. Cole, how we doing?
I am less tan, but I'm doing incredible, guys.
And of course, myself, Scott Knudson, the Director of Sales Enablement here at Rankings. Hello, gentlemen. I want to bring something to the bench today. Last night, I saw Superman, and I was going in pretty skeptical. I think as some people, anybody who's watched a DC movie in the last 5 to 10 years, it's like a little apprehensive. I come to report it's pretty good. I enjoyed it quite a bit. My hot take on it is the most Gen Z movie ever made, in that I think traditional movies are like, they kind of take their time. They have a slow intro. They kind of warm you up to the character. And then about 30, 40 minutes in, they're like, all right, let's start the story. Not this movie. This movie is like, hey, you watched TikTok before, right? Cool. We're just going to throw you right into content and just run. And I think it's better for it, honestly. I think it just has, the story of Superman. We don't need to dabble on that. Let's just hop straight into the action. I think it's a fun little romp.
I love that. Maybe on the next Spider-Man, they won't start over again, and we'll pick up with a different story.
Okay, boys, we got a good episode today. Before we get into it, let me get my gavel here, because court is now in session. The charge for today.
Perfect spot for my drum.
Steel drum next episode.
Yeah. We'll in post put in a steel drum sound. Ding dong ding.
Yeah, we'll do it, and then you can just hear me say "tan everywhere," "Jan everywhere." Shout out to my office fans.
I was going to say a little office reference there.
The charge for today. We're on the precipice of AI being everywhere in everything. Last night, my wife, she turned over to me and she flipped over her phone. She's like, I'm so sick of AI. It's just in everything now. And she showed me, she's into gardening. And it's even in gardening chats, there's AI generated gardens. She's like, it's everywhere. It's taking over. And I feel like we've kind of reached a little bit of that saturation point. AI is it's not just niche anymore. My mom uses it. Everybody's it's here to stay. So today,
full in grandmas
that's
all
right.
over the world.
I mean, Facebook is a dumpster fire. Right?
No, it's crazy.
It is definitely saturated, and I think we're just at the tipping point of saturation.
Yeah, we're barely tipping over the mountain. We're about to ski real fast down a hill.
It's truly. My grandma will be like, "Have you seen the rats that are building the new infrastructure in New York? The sky rises?" They're like, "Grandma,
Nana,
it's
sweet Nana."
That's not it.
So to that point, it's everywhere, which means it's in everything. It's in every tool that you take a demo of. It's powered by AI, our new AI feature. And of course, you listen to any talking head on a podcast, and it's, what are you doing about AI? How are you integrating it into the product you sell? How are you integrating it as a sales leader into your management team? How are you making sure your reps are utilizing AI? Now, we are building a revenue engine at Rankings AI. We've had a ton of success, and we have reps who we are coaching and training on AI on many different levels. So I want us to focus on, how do we supercharge our team? What have we seen be successful? What have you guys seen both internally at Rankings and also externally at other teams? The good, the bad, the ugly, pitfalls to avoid, things you've seen winning right now. And let's pass that wisdom on to the Under Oath listeners. So it's supercharging sales reps with AI. That's the official charge for today. And we're going to start with our first section, our opening statements. This is where we take the topic and we take a learning that we've had recently in our respective roles. So Zach is the CRO, Cole is the VP of sales, myself as a sales enablement leader. What's something as it relates to AI in sales or revenue that you've learned in your capacity that, a bit of wisdom that you'd like to pass on? Zach, I'll start with you. As somebody who is, you're connected to many different departments of the company and you have kind of unique stewardship over the revenue org. What's something you learned by AI that you've found insightful?
Yeah, I think that one of the biggest learnings, and I think that people have over anything in the course of time that people are hesitant to use or utilize, that AI is not going anywhere, is the first piece, right? And you have to be able to learn how to implement it properly. We joked about it before, as there's so many false narratives out there because of AI. There's so many tools. Essentially every tool now has AI in it. It's so easy to create a tool because of AI. I think that from my standpoint, that I have really anchored in over the past year is every system, every decision we make, we should look at all facets of that decision and see if AI first can be utilized for it at the highest level. First and foremost, from my seat, is I'm looking at the bottom line, right? I need ROI and to be able to produce a high result for our clients because they come first. So first and foremost, is the tool that we're going to use, is it going to produce for the client? And then what is the cost to the business? And I think right now, the question always has to come in, can we deliver an exceptional experience for our client? And can we do it at a cheaper rate because of AI? If both those answers are yes, then we implement it properly. If one of those answers are no, then you have to reevaluate, and it could be that you have to keep doing it how you were through human touch point, or you just only encapsulate a little bit of the AI today, and then you keep looking at it over and over because literally every day it gets better. So you just have to be able to pivot.
It sounds like in some cases, we're in this frontier where everyone's just whipping up apps. Everyone's can, spin up a software company that can do something. And there is a question that it seems like you need to ask, which is, are you just letting some other company make a tool and then sell it to us because you don't want to take the effort to figure out how to do the prompt and to do the synthesis yourself? Because you can do it yourself for $20 a month and we'll reimburse you for it, right? And I think that's an important question there, right? Like when you're faced with a product and it's like, hey, this product can do this other thing, maybe it can transcribe a call or can do, it can synthesize some sort of data in an interesting way. Well, could you also do that in an interesting way? And all of a sudden, this add-on feature, this extra feature, maybe actually isn't worth much because you could just do that yourself. Is that kind of what you're alluding to there, Zach?
Yeah, very much. I mean, obviously we're fortunate at Rankings that we have teams of people that can look into things and create things and build things and optimize. So there's a kind of a sequence of events you're going through. First off, do we need this thing that we're wanting to do, or do we need to improve something that we're already doing? Next thing is can we do it in house with somebody we have? Can we build something through AI, or should we go pay a company that's already invested the time and the money to create this? Like you're going down a checklist to see, again, it comes down to the client experience and it comes down to the ROI for the company. And you're always trying to reiterate that and improve on it and make it better, and also train your team to utilize it and not make them feel like their jobs are also in jeopardy because so many people push back against AI because it's going to take my job over, when in reality, we're trying to say you're going to be better at your job because of AI, right? We're going to make you great at the things only a human could do, and those remedial tasks and things that you hate doing, we're going to try to incorporate AI in to make you that much better at it. So it's trying to make people love those two letters rather than resent those two letters.
Totally. Yeah, Cole, in your capacity as VP of sales, right? You're just a little bit closer to the front lines there. You do a lot of coaching with AEs, so and your leaders who coach BDRs. What's something you've learned in your capacity, kind of managing people who it's up to them to make sure that they're leveraging AI in the right way?
I think it's that exact sentence. It's leveraging AI. It's not depending on AI. And I think that's a big talking point here is, I think there is a line, right, on how much do you utilize AI? What do you utilize it for? Does it make an impact to you? Is it beneficial use of your time? Example being, if AI is writing every single one of your email responses front to back and you're not auditing it or adding any flair to it, in my opinion, you're using it wrong, right? It's there to enhance you, right? To look at it objectively from a different view, maybe a little more professional verbiage or a different take on something. But if you're just like, hey, write me an email to this person, to me, that's using it incorrectly in our field of sales, because the benefit of that salesperson is that personality, right? That person behind it. If you're just using it front to back, then AI is the employee, right? Not the employee themselves. So I think the biggest learning is leveraging, as you said, AI and not depending on it for every scenario. And we could dive into that on best ways to utilize it, in my opinion, too.
In your experience, so you manage leaders who kind of have to enforce that. What does that look like from your seat, right? Like how do you make sure that it's not becoming a crutch?
Yeah, I think this is always inspecting what you expect. I expect that all of our account executives follow up with a prospect, right? That's an expectation. But if I don't go look in HubSpot and see what they're sending and inspect that data, right? We use HubSpot to track all of our information. First one, if there's nothing in there, then we're not using our process, right? And if it is in there and everything's just straight text and there's no loom or personalization, then that's a conversation, right? Because we're missing a big selling point that a lot of people benefit from in conversation with us, is that personality, right? That personalized touch point through a video or a response from the call. If you're just sending an AI summary or just a Zoom link or something like that post-call, you're doing the process wrong. So you have to inspect that on the front end, and that's at every leader. And then I'd also challenge the AEs or whoever is in that seat to think like you're in that next step, right? And when you have that combination of people, you're inspecting what you're expecting, but your frontliners are thinking like that next level, then you have a really great synergy between the two, where you don't have to course correct often in that process.
Yeah, I really like that. I love the ownership there. I think sometimes as you move up in senior leadership, you can feel just that much more removed from it, and you can be, you can just kind of bark orders and say, hey, just make sure everyone's doing this. But it is ultimately it falls back on you. And if you remove yourself from what's going on in the front lines, like, you're never going to have a good pulse on it. And so, yeah, I think that's good wisdom, which is, inspect what you expect. I think it's a great little tidbit. Might have to save that for your bumper sticker at the end of the episode there, Cole. I'll give one here. And this is one that I actually love, that rankings, essentially, that on the enablement side, it is incumbent on you to champion the environment of AI culturally, right? Not just in the sales team, but in all departments that you function. Something that I really love that rankings does is they give essentially like a training and learning development per diem, where they say, hey, a couple $100 a month or whatever it is, go out and learn something, and then report what you're learning, and then just tell us why and what you're doing from it. And you have this like big kind of public notion of what everyone's learning. And if you were to look at ours right now, probably 60 to 70% of them are like a ChatGPT 101 course or some sort of AI certification. And when you see that, it compels you. You're like, oh man, like, everyone's getting in on this. Like, I cannot be left behind, right? Sometimes I think you might have one or two really progressive or those kind of early adopters who are in it. They've been in it, and you might be a rep being like, oh, I'll just ask so and so, he's really good at AI. Don't settle for that. If you're an enablement, it is incumbent on you to create that culture so that all AEs, they want it, they're asking to be reimbursed for it. You're going to leadership and saying, hey, everyone needs this. Everyone needs to buy into this. Everyone needs to have access to this. We want to have a culture in this. I want to get certified to a capacity where I can train better with it, build our own prompts, build our own, systems and whatnot, right? It can always be someone else's problem to solve. In my experience, again, in enablement, make it your problem. Make you the one who champions it. And I think you'll get paid out in dividends. I think everyone, because you champion it and because it starts to spread across company, you just have this culture of like, we don't get left behind. We are ahead of the curve, and everybody benefits from that. So that's my little tidbit there. And that could be for a sales leader too. Maybe you don't have enablement, or maybe they're in their capacity. That could be any sales leader. Don't let it be someone else's problem to like get AI adopted at your company. Make it your something that you champion. All right, now we're going to move into the cross-examination part of the episode. Again, we just dive a little bit deeper into the topic. I want to start with you, Zach. Off the dome, the topic here is supercharging sales with AI. In your mind, just instinctively, when you hear that, what is the thing that you believe is being supercharged, right? Is that more pipeline? Is it higher win rate? Is it less burnout, right? Like, if you were to say, like, initially, this is what I feel like is being supercharged, what would you say?
It is making people feel like they don't have to do the small task that give burnout. If you can automate those things, anybody who's in sales hates the little filling in this or updating that. Of any magnitude, if you can get that automated through AI, because where I personally struggle the absolute most is kind of what Cole talked about in the beginning, is the follow-up emails that get AI'd or whatever it may be. Like, that's where I kind of cringe on it, because it is so easily seen, especially to people that are involved in it. It's like everybody is so active on LinkedIn now, and you can see it night and day who does original content and who doesn't. So same side as this is anytime I can take away a salesperson's kind of like barrier to entry to go do more sales, that I think that gives you more burnout. So anytime we can use AI to automate follow-up tasks on the inside of the house, not the outside, that's where I am always wanting to push, because I think I would rather get more out of my actual employee from a front-facing standpoint to a client than the internal side, where I could let AI be the one doing the updating and things like that. So supercharging, to my mind, comes into supercharging my people to be more empowered to do the things they're the best at.
It's making us more efficient at the small things. Example being we use a tool that records on calls, on Zoom calls. It's called Grain. Grain uses AI to do summaries post-call, but it automates the process to post that call transcript to HubSpot, logs it on the client's notes. It gives a full breakdown, summaries, next steps, what's happened, and that allows our AEs to not do that manual task of taking all their notes and inputting them into the system and then logging it, right? That efficiency allows them to run that much quicker towards the next call. We can get calls a little closer together, right? And fill more in the day so they can have a more impactful day sales-wise, not having to worry about as much.
And let's break it down to an ROI perspective for people listening. To your point, what you just said, if you could break it down, that doing just that one thing made it where your AEs could take one extra call a day, and you have 2 AEs, that's 10 extra calls a week, right? 40 calls a month. If you have a 20% close rate, eight deals,
yep,
right? Average $10,000 in MRR.
Yep.
80 grand. So you're saying that one item that costs minimal amount of money could bring you close to $1 million in new revenue a year, right? And that's what I talk about when I talk about bottom line, ROI, things like that, that doesn't affect anybody. It's listening to an actual call between humans, taking notes, and automatically uploading it to our key places for people to see. And that gives us one extra call a day per rep. Yeah. Those are the type of things I think, keyword, supercharge your teams.
Yeah, I think it's important too in that exercise, right, is to be really disciplined and get to the root. You talked about what sales reps do best, right? That human element. Really define what that is. Because in our situation, it's like, I want my sellers talking to customers on the phone during demos. This is what I want them doing. I want them back to back on demos, right? What I don't want is after demo, I got to do 30 minutes of getting my notes down, 20 minutes of admin work at the end of the day, 20 minutes of prep before the next call, right? I'm looking for these friction points, these areas of inefficiencies. And then when an AI solution or workflow or something presents itself, it's like, aha, not only can this speed this up, but as you demonstrated, Zach, if what this is able to do is over time get me one more conversation, that's really what I want. And so I think working back from the outcome and saying, where can AI kind of step in and give me more efficiency, give my reps more efficiency? I think that's a proven recipe there.
That is the point, is what is the outcome first and foremost, and working backwards from it. For sales, obviously, Cole, the thing he's going to care about the most is getting qualified appointments on his AE's calendars on a daily basis. You can't start as saying, I want 2 more, 3 more. You have to start with one extra from what we normally do. Well, how do we get that? Where can we cut the fluff throughout the day that is needed fluff, but we could automate it, right? In your example. And then you keep going backwards for that. Can we get to 2 extra? Can we get to 3? What if they had an assistant? Like, you start moving down these lines, and again, you're trying to produce ROI. And I think that's where AI has become such a impactful piece. And one day I think it can do a lot more. But as of now, I think that's where we see the most benefit.
Yeah, Scott, I think you brought up a great point too about truly understanding what those key important factors of the role are that needs to be the human element, right? I think the natural course would be to take a call summary, throw it through AI, have it create the follow-up email, but that's the natural inclination because that's a work part. But that's the most important part of a call, right? Is how you follow up to that call should be completely owned by the AE. So if I could take away other friction points like data entry or components like that with AI or automation, then we can spend more effort on a follow-up, more effort on a call, more effort on compiling the best strategy. So I think that's a very key important.
Those client-facing things is what is going to stick out the most, right? The video follow-up, the email, like, because they were the ones listening and they are the subject matter expert. Yeah. That is whenever rankings AEs get to shine the most. And AI, as of now, can't touch that.
Yeah, it doesn't build the trust. You build the trust.
I want to touch on this because so there's one side of the paradigm where it's like, hey, AI can come in and it can really speed up, make reps more efficient. But there's a certain threshold where all of a sudden they start to become a little bit of a crutch, and they start to rely on it and things that maybe they shouldn't rely on it for. It starts to kind of erode away some of their kind of core sales skills. As leaders, how do you prevent that? How do you ensure that your teams don't become too reliant on it? Don't invest too many eggs in the wrong AI baskets? You know, what strategies have you guys taken or are currently taking or attempting to adopt to make sure that there's that healthy balance there?
I can tackle this first, and I think it goes back to the first point, which is inspecting, right? You have to consistently break down calls and listen and look at follow-ups. But there's also, through several episodes that we talked about, there's an autonomy level, right? I don't want to tell, in this instance here, Zach, the AE, how to, what gates or put gates on there or anything like that. I want Zach to be the most efficient Zach, and maybe Zach is highly intuitive at AI and can make it the best structure, and the way he utilizes it is great. But I have to inspect what Zach is doing, right? So the answer isn't creating gates, or you can have guidelines, but it's not to tell Zach how to use it. It's to inspect the results that Zach brings to the table. Because ultimately, if Zach is becoming too deficient and results go in the other way, then that's where the coaching conversations come in. But it's about being diligent in what you're looking at.
You had a situation with the other day, Cole, where you sent me a call and it was like, hey, what do you think about this breakdown? And I just started listening to the call and I just kind of went into it as if I was going to coach the call. So I started writing a couple notes. And then I looked at kind of the feedback that the AI gave. And some of it was pretty good, but to me, it missed one or two like very big red flags.
Agreed.
And I was like, oh, interesting. Like, it didn't even catch these things. Like, it wouldn't even thought to coach in these things, right? And I think that's a really good example of, like, don't be lazy with AI. It's going to give you a standard, solid, okay to good response, especially at first. If your initial reaction is, great, that's all it is, let's go ahead and send this out and we're good to go. Right? Like, you are bringing in mediocrity. You're now sending out mediocrity, right? Like, the job of you is to, especially at first, really fine tune that and coach, in some cases, the AI, or to give instruction to be like, hey, you didn't mention this. I need you to be looking out for this. Or I don't want you to even focus on these kinds of things. I will focus on those kinds of things. What I want you to do are these specific things. When do they make these critical kinds of errors, and identify them and service them to me and be really specific about it, right? To me, this is where AI is much better, is when you give it really succinct, clear direction of like, identify these really core deficiencies or proficiencies, not, hey, coach for me.
Yeah.
You know?
And to give some color to what the example Scott is making, as I was looking at how efficient can AI be at breaking down a call versus a human? Is it better? Is it more impactful? Is it quicker? And the answer is today, based off of my very quick tests, was no, it is not. It is still much more impactful for human coaching to listen to a call and scope out things. Because as Scott said, same thing with my sentiment, as I'm looking at this, I'm like, I don't feel like this is too good at all, actually. Like, it missed a lot of key components.
I think one day maybe,
Yeah.
right? Because there's certain things that have to, but I go down to the smallest thing that we actually talk about quite a bit is, can it capture the inflection in my voice? Am I excited? Am I not excited? Am I being blunt about something? Like, but am I smiling when that happens? Like, you can't see those things, right? And a lot of times you are coaching to body language and like what they're doing. Like, or you just lean back being like, man, could be better for you, right? Like, are you like, hey, like, I know I can get you to where you want to go, right? Like, you can't encapsulate that right now. But because those are huge selling points to us for what we do. We want that.
Yeah. But what it can do is say, hey, pick out key moments in this call where a competitor is brought up, right? That's a great use, right? That helps save scraping time and points to key areas that you could focus on. That's a great utilization. But as Scott said, be the coach for me is not an efficient use of AI. It does not supercharge your team.
Scott, to what you said a minute ago, I think one of the largest things, and I truly believe that a lot of companies should be excited about this. AI is making people lazy. Leaders, owners, all the way down the line. And the fact that if you are depending on AI, because there's going to be companies that says, I'm just going to let AI coach, because there's coaching tools out there. The reps are going to be terrible, horrible. They're going to be the ones sending the follow-up emails. There's people that's going to only run companies off AI, whatever it may be. And that should excite you in the fact that you're going to be able to get ahead. Same thing when we talk about outbound. We love it so much because we get to do it differently, because people do the, average follow-ups. They do the same scripts, right? AI is going to be in the same thing, and you get to use AI to step out and be different because people are doing the bare minimum.
Yep. Yeah. I want to just drill in on this idea of standing out, or using AI differently or in better ways for sellers. Maybe actionable ways, real ways that you guys have seen it right now, today, right? Where you had a rep use it in a specific way. You're like, oh, that was a really clever way to use that, or like that was a really helpful way. I think sometimes as sales leaders, it can be, you're swimming in a big ocean, right? There's all these tools out there. There's all this thought leadership out there. And sometimes you kind of want to be like, I don't know, just like do whatever is popular, like go download ChatGPT and just like go crazy, right? While I think, it's using something might be better than using nothing, I think sometimes you run into this opposite problem where like you give somebody a box of tools and you say like, hey, just like go figure it out. And they're like, I don't know how to use any of this stuff properly. What are kind of practical ways currently in the ways that the AI is good now that you guys are seeing reps or other leaders use it in meaningful ways that you feel like, hey, I've seen this work as kind of tried and true, as opposed to ways you're like, we just kind of touched on it. It's like, full-time call coaching, probably not there yet. I wouldn't lean too much on that. Like, what are a couple areas, a couple things that you guys have seen that, like, this is a great use case today?
I'll talk from my standpoint, and then Cole, you kind of break down from yours. But I think because I think the key word that you said there, Scott, was like starting out. Right. Like if you're really just getting into it and trying it, is I think right now, if you want to start testing the waters, it is information farming and compare and contrasting, right? To let it self-identify against each other. For example, let's use our side of things. If you got multiple contracts from competitors or something that you were sent, to upload those and let it compare and contrast the differences, right? That is very black and white for it to compare and contrast. If this has this many words and this is this getting this many links, this is why this is better. This is where you're struggling. Like, that is very easy, and that arms you with learning. I think it gives you the ability to go and get ideas to how to go back with an email, right? Or to fix grammatical error, like little things like that. I mean, I use it to get LinkedIn content ideas. I write my own content. I think
that right there, Zach, I think is like, if we could put that on a billboard, like use it to ideate, not to create, right? Use it to fix, not to formulate necessarily. Right?
100%. I think that you need to lean on the side that I am the expert, but I'm going to let the AI get my juices flowing, right? Like, I go all the time and I'm like, this is what's been happening lately over the past month. Give me 15 content ideas around it. And I'll start reading through it and I'll be like, let's talk about number 5 deeper, right? Ask me questions to get me going on this. And by the end of it, I'm like, I know I'm going to write, right? And I think it needs to be a stepping stone. It doesn't need to be the end result.
Yeah, really like that. I would encourage people who have AI to be creative, like think deeply about interesting and innovative ways. Like, it is kind of the Wild West right now. Like, you can try all sorts of things. A really good example the other day, my friend, he is director of engineering at a different company. He's my next door neighbor. We were talking about it, and he had built a Chris Voss AI bot that was like totally learned and steeped into Chris Voss ideology. Never split the difference, right? And he was having a conversation with somebody, and it was transcribing in real time the conversation. And while he was chatting with them, it was like getting a little tense, right? And so he chats to his Chris Voss bot. He's like, "Hey, help me navigate how I can like navigate this conversation. I'm not totally sure, like some approaches, right?" And in that really acute scenario, it was like, "Oh, this is like the person you're talking to is having like a much more of an emotional, non-analytical response. And so you don't want to say these kind of things, and you do want to kind of try and go down these kind of ways, right?" And he's like, "Oh, that makes a ton of sense." And he was able to just kind of do this in real time as he's talking to somebody, right? Now, I love that because I think, like, wow, what an interesting way to not just ask ChatGPT, like, "Hey, how do I navigate a tough conversation?" But like, he had thought in advance, like, I know I'm going to be talking to people and I'm not going to know the best way to navigate it. I know that Chris Voss, I read the book. I really like his style. I really like his approach to things. There's so many principles I couldn't possibly, remember them all at once. So I'm going to build a really acute tool for me to navigate some of these tougher conversations. And so that to me is a really good example of like identifying one specific problem, building one really custom, unique solution for him to help navigate difficult, challenging conversations that he has on an executive level, right? And that's the kind of thing that I think AI is awesome for, and that people should be exploring that kind of stuff right now as much as they can, and have that autonomy and that freedom to say like, "Oh, you know what? No one is doing it this way. And I want to try this," right? And it's not, I'm going to create this email and have it send 100 emails for me. It's, I'm going to try this totally left brain idea. And because no one's thinking over here. No one is bushwhacking in this part of the, in this part of the wilderness, right? And I think I can take advantage of it, right? So I would encourage, folks who are kind of on the frontier, right? And especially if you have some of those reps or some of those internal folks who are really AI proficient, or you brought some, experts in, lean on them, say like, what could I do this? Here are the problems I'm having. What does your brain immediately think of, right? And tap some of those people who are already thinking that way, who have seen some cool stuff, and start being like, "Oh, maybe we could do that. What if we tried this?" And again, reach out to sales support teams like Enablement, be like, "Hey, come up with interesting ways for reps to do things differently. We're growing, we're changing. Like, we need to always be evolving. AI, it's a great way to always be evolving."
Absolutely. I think from my side, it's very similar concepts to both of those, but just on a day-to-day level, the small tasks, right, I think are where AI just helps you as a leader be more efficient. I alluded to Grain, the tool we use. For me, it is an AI-based platform. That's a huge one, right? I don't have to go immediately listen to an hour of call to scrape and figure out what the next steps are. It's loaded to the notes. I can scroll down. I know exactly where it says. It says here are the next steps that Megan, our AE, has with this prospect. Right? That's a quick way for me to understand the outcome of that call without interrupting Megan on her next call, scrubbing that information. That AI assists me in efficiency, and then I can go have a deeper conversation about this call. So just a little thing. Scott, I love it for ideation as well, or just like list building or whatever it looks like there. Compare, contrast. Those are the great things that I think AI could be leveraged for today. That still keeps the humanity aspect of the business where you're not just sole relying on a tool.
All right, we're going to wrap up with our closing arguments. This is really just one key takeaway from the episode that you want to leave with the Under Oath listeners about AI and sales.
Embrace AI, but just be cautious, right? Don't let it take the human element out of the things. Use it to make you more efficient, but don't lose the human element side, because that the relationships and those things are what people are going to be drawn to, even more so years from now, because AI is making it to where we're losing that human connection, and people are going to earn for that and want that. So become efficient on the backside where people don't see, and on the outside, have that human element, have that human connection, build those relationships, and specifically from a sales front. And I think that's where the success lies.
Love it. Cole, what about you? What's something you want to leave with the listeners?
Paying attention to what AI sentiments look like and being able to spot those so you know how to compete against that type of response, but also so you don't fall in the trap of looking like you're solely AI. Easy one is M dashes. If you're not familiar, the long dash. It's the clear spot when you're there, or the word no fluff.
Oh man,
those are the easy. You're like, oh, that one's AI, right? But again, you don't want to look like that. You don't want to be like that. But if you see competitor emails or prospects share all kinds of things that competitors are doing, you can speak to those things. Like, oh yeah, you're just getting AI generated responses. Separate yourself.
Be building the playbook now to differentiate yourself. I love that. Treat AI the way that the Eagles treat the tush push, which is, yeah, everybody can use it, but we do it right? Like we do it effectively. Like it's a play that you can run. Anybody can run it, but guess what? Pretty much only the Eagles can run it right. And it's because they figured it out, they thought about it, they practiced it, they got really in the weeds on it. It's not just some other play. It's something that they executed at a really high level. AI is kind of like that. It's a really, it's an important play in your playbook. If you just treat it like any other play, it's not going to land, it's not going to work, right? So your ability to execute with AI in many ways comes down to the leaders here and the individuals who say, like, I'm not just going to treat this as something. I'm going to really invest time and mind space into doing this and doing it right. Okay, that's going to do it for the episode. Zach, Cole, always a pleasure. To our AI listeners who are the AI companions listening, I hope you learned something from us humans. And to all the Under Oath listeners, we appreciate it. Give us a little review, share us on LinkedIn, all the places. And we will catch you in the next one. Courtroom is now adjourned.